So Jose was the CEO of Citgo, and while he was down in Venezuela, he had the illustrious privilege of being detained for 5 years. Wow. And today is the anniversary. 6 years ago,
8 years ago.
8 years ago of his release.
Today, around this time, I was being captured. I accused to be American spy around noon. 8 years ago.
So we're very honored to have you. He's since come back. He's published a book, From Hero to Villain, and a second book called Unbreakable. And so that's what he's going to be speaking about now, is his second book. And so we're very honored to have you. And so, Jose, thank you. I mean, I get your presentation. I heard about that.
I was being CEO of Civil Petroleum here, and I was getting retired. That happened during the first Trump administration, and all the situation between Venezuela and U.S. exactly the same thing that's happening today. The same thing. The only thing that were not the battleships, but because I believe that but in the first term Trump didn't have time enough to do what he's doing now. So we pray that he finishes what he's doing. So the point is that when I saw these things going, I was working here is that the other day, November 20th, I do my presentation. I do the presentation, big crowd, standing ovation, and I was like, wow, I finished my career and 1,000 people here, and at the plane waiting. And then my boss at the time, he was the former CEO of Citgo, so he was who appointed me. And now he's the president of PDVSA at the time. And his name was Nelson Martinez. And Nelson told me, Jose, you have to stay until tomorrow because they're going to do a recap meeting. So, I begin to feel like, but okay, let's say. And I stayed November 21. And in the morning, I'm coming to the meeting. It's around noon. Waiting, I didn't know what was the use, like, it's the Praetorian police they use there, and they capture us, they accuse us to be American spies, and had committed treason to the country. So that day became our nightmare. So what I'm gonna show you today is, because I wrote my book, that is my memoir, but I wrote this book recently that is called Unbreakable, because during these 3 years that I had been here, for some reason of God, I went through this situation. But it has been like a learning process. Why I went through this. And I had my long career in the oil and gas. I did 35 years in the oil and gas. So I already had my leadership skills. But nothing like this. Believe me, when you go through a situation like this changes you totally your perspective. Right? Because it's a different thing. Because we were not a normal prisoner. We were with a political prisoner. And we were with the military political prisoners. So I know how you guys think. I stayed along with the military. We had a lot of time to talk with them. And it was funny because I always would say that the mindset of a military is very similar to the oil and gas guy, because, you have the hierarchy, so at the beginning, I don't want to talk more about me because I already mentioned I did my career in the oil and gas. I began working in 1985 in Venezuela. When Venezuela was a wealthy country, PDVSA was the fifth oil and gas company in the world at the time. So for me, it was really very proud working there. I began working in the international side because I'm a fourth generation of oil and gas workers. My granddad, my second name, Rembek, is Dutch because my granddad, came with a Royal Dutch Shell in the Maracaibo Lake operations in 1920s. So he met my grandma. That it was a mobile worker. So he was Shell, she was mobile. My mom was mobile. My dad was CDP. So I became also a corporate. My son became PDVSA. So we have 4 generations of oil and gas workers in my family. And I began that career. And in 1967, my dad was transferred to here to the U.S. We lived here in Tulsa, in Oklahoma, because he did his oil and gas in Tulsa University, and then we flew back to Venezuela, 1960, 1971, 1974, sorry, and a place called San Tome, that is where is the Faja, the biggest oil and gas. And I continued my career and began to work with a lot of became at the end of my career the CEO. So for me, it was a big deal, being an immigrant here in the U.S. and becoming the CEO of the sixth biggest refinery here in the U.S. But I decided to retire because I didn't like what I was seeing, and then this happened to me. So it's kind of, I never retired. All my plans, everything was gone. So this is a set of photos I wanted to show with you because this guy that you see here is the ambassador Roger Carson. This is the guy that released us. This photo was taken in October 2021, 1 year before we were released, in the office of the director of the dungeon we were. So this was the first day that the direct negotiation to get a release happened. And he did a visit. We are six guys. That's why we became the Six Go Six. So these guys were the VPs, and I was the CEO. So this guy was the VP of PR, and this was the HR manager. This was the refinery manager. This was the marketing manager, and this was the manager of the Corpus Christi refinery. So we were captured. We were not friends. We were colleagues. We didn't know each other. But we found something that today I say there is reasons of God. Six guys, not friends, captured in that moment, all of us 30 plus year married. All of us 30 plus year married and 30 plus year career. What is the probability that six guys choosing randomly are married for more than 30 years with kids and grandkids? So that created for us a strong bond because we had a lot of things in common. A lot of things. Even picture that. I don't want to say nothing, but imagine that you get together, you gather here, but maybe you don't know deeply the story. You had a lot of time to talk. And when we began to talk, we found we had a lot of things in common. And then comes a turning point that you begin to not only feel the sense of camaraderie, it's the sense that you need to come back because you have a purpose to come back. So that's something that is very important. This photo was taken, I suffered COVID 2 times. And the second time, there was, because my family, by that time, they were having a lot of pressure. The U.S. government was working hard in this way. And so they knew that I was having COVID. I was disappeared. So they brought me back and they asked me to do this photo. There was like a proof of life, So and this photo was taken the day we were released. This is October 1st, 2022, 1 year after this photo. This is my grandson. He was born when I was in captivity. He didn't know me. He only saw me in a photo, so he came running, and that photo came. The photo was put in Twitter. Has more than 1 million views. It's kind of funny. But let me go. The other day, I'm in a dungeon, 3 floors down, incommunicated, because we were separated. I was in solitary confinement. Learned light 24/7. At some point, I lost the sense of time. So I was like going mad. First, why am I going through this? So I began to have a lot of anger, anger against God. Why you made this for me, So you begin a process in your mind that if you're not prepared, you can go crazy. And I was literally like going crazy. After a couple of months, I stayed months, like 10 months after one day they opened the door because I didn't have windows. I have the door all day locked, 24/7 lights on, no running water, no food every 3 days. I began to have a lot of things, pneumonia, bronchitis. I was really thinking that I was going to die. Like 10 months after one day they opened the door, because always was like that. They opened and they never said nothing. They said, dress up, you're going to have a visit. And then when they put me in a room, and when somebody opened the door, it was her. She flew to Venezuela to visit. I was like, what are you doing here? I was glad, but I was scared. Right. I was glad, but scared. I said, why you came here? You're crazy. Then she told me, no, papi, everything's okay. First time I heard that the two ambassadors were recalled. So the U.S. ambassador was recalled, the Venezuelan ambassador was recalled. When the ambassador are recalled, the things are going back. So there was no direct communication. So what they did is they used her like a vessel to deliver a message and bring whatever they wanted to. So that's how she went there. Was the first news that they were fighting to release me. So when I went back, like 3 hours talking with her, I was with hope. I need to have hope. So that is where it comes down. Mindset, it begins to change your mindset. Because now I'm thinking, okay, they're working hard to bring me there. So I need to survive. A couple of months after, they opened again the door. And when they opened the door, there was a visit of the UN. So a delegation of the UN came and interviewed us. And they told us, well, we already talked with your colleagues. First time I heard that we're alive. 1 year after. 1 year after. So, and a couple of days after, they put us together. Mm-hmm. So there comes another turning point. Because now we knew that we were 30 plus year married. Five of us were Christians. I was not an active Christian, but some of them were really active Christians. One of them practiced Buddhism. But we begin to have a lot of things that is part of that things today I speak about. That is that in any situation in life, that sense of having community is so important. And that's happening in life and happening in business. A sense of having a community. So there's where I talk about, and this is something that I talk here in this book, that the true leadership, you really are tested when things goes under your control. When something is going outside your comfort zone is where you're going to be tested if you really are a good leader or not. And we were tested because one of the things I really appreciate the way we did it, because we were 6 guys. We began to do a 3-hour training in that small room. Because he's a marathon runner, he still today runs marathon. He was in the Boston Marathon, he was all over the place. But he was doing training for us, marathon runners. Gustavo, that was a guy he's a journalist from PR. He was like a mastermind, planifying things to give up to our family and how to communicate things. And I somehow was kind of the leader of the group, but I didn't want to feel like the leader. But I was like kind of cheering the group. I was always a guy that's very positive, so I was trying to use my positivity to keep the group together. So here is something that is very important, because you can be in a breaking point. We were in solitude. You have fear and you have uncertainty. But when you have that change in your mindset, because you have always two choices. You can stay there or you can move on. And that is really where the change comes. Because we could stay there. You can stay broken and stay there. And this happens in any walk of life. It can happen in your personal life. It can happen in a business. It can happen in anything that you can, because adversity will come. Oh, who has not gone through an adversity in their life? Everybody. It can be something in your business. It can be in your family. It can be something in your health. So that turning point becomes when you say, okay, this is real. This is happening to me, but I have two choices. I can stay there or I can move on. And we, the six, decided to move on. So we created something that we call the survivor plan. It's funny because this book that you have here, this is my coaching program that I designed it based on that survivor plan because we did simple things like having a daily routine. Things like having a daily routine. We created a daily routine. We stayed all the day busy, my friends. We didn't have time to think and nothing, always busy doing things. We were like hamster doing things all day long. But it worked. It worked because we stayed all day long doing things, simple things. For example, 6 a.m. in the morning. We had a small table, 2 chairs. We were three bunk beds, 2 stories, and each of us took the breakfast alone. The others were in the bed. So you were sitting alone, lights turned off. So you were like in a peace, eating your food, because by that time we were allowed to begin to receive food from our families. After the visit of the UN, because I didn't say it, but the first year was so bad that we were literally starving. I lost 100 pounds that time. I get it back. But, I get it back. But we lost 100 pounds. And now they allow us as family to bring us food. Wasn't that easy? Sending food here from the US to Venezuela was really difficult. There was the sanctions, all this stuff. So my family, what they decided was that my eldest son, he moved to Colombia, and from Colombia he began to provide me food to Venezuela. And my son did it during 4 years. Wow! He stayed 4 years with it. So he did a weekly grocery. He put it in a box. He sent it to Venezuela. Somebody picked up the food. They cooked and they sent it to the jail. And the way it worked was because they did it in every 3 days. They sent a set of food. And every time they brought new food, I had to return the trash cans. I began to smuggle letters in front of you that you haven't seen it. Or maybe you find a solution. So that's why being calm and focus is important. Why is so important? And I'm gonna say it here because this was a lesson that we learned. When you are calm and focused, you can distinguish the thing that you can control and the things that you cannot control. And it's funny that how much time you dedicate to things that you cannot control. It's crazy. Trying to control things that is not under your control. For example, in our case, we were 6 guys, a lot of brains, because a lot of brains. We were trying to do a master plan to escape. We were trying to do a master plan to tell our family what they had to do. And one day we discovered that we didn't have no way to control that. And we said, hey, let's stop. This is crazy. We're going to get crazy. Let's focus on ourselves. What we could control, taking care of ourselves. So that's what we decided. So we create a plan and we begin to get focused on that. And we left everything to their family. And it worked because they worked. Let me tell you, this lady you're seeing here, she's my true hero because she and the other 5 wives, they created a group that the first name of the group was the 606 Coalition. They met with another family of other Americans there in other countries, and they created a group called the Bring and Family Home Campaign that today exists. That campaign began to do a lot of pressure, and was the Bring Our Family Home campaign was one of the turning point to get us back, because they did a lot of pressure with that, and that's how when you have that clarity. When you have calm and focus. Because when you're focused, you can emerge stronger. It gives you courage, it gives you faith, it gives you purpose. Because when we got together and when I had the visit of her, that gave me hope. That when we got together and my colleague, this guy that he was like a pastor, Ali, he was like a pastor. He did like we did, at the end of the day, we were resting in peace. And that gave us something that is faith. Now you have faith. And in life, for me, the key in leadership is faith. The faith is everything. If you don't have faith, you don't have nothing. Because the faith, not only in you, faith in God, because this is important, because I discovered that in my past life, everything I thought that was because of me. I thought that I was successful because of me. I was lucky, I was smart, I was this. No, 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 no. Everything is because of him. Everything is because of him. And today I pray that everything that I do, I said, God, I do everything because of you. And this is a big lesson in my life. And I always tell the people, if you want to be successful, you have to give to God that is your and his grace and his mercy. Everything that you're having is because of him. The day you lose that, you can lose things like this, like it happened to me. Like it happened to me. So really, I thought, I always say that I'm not happy what I went through, but I'm happy. The lesson I learned after that, because I learned that I needed to have more, give more thanks to God, express more gratitude. I didn't express gratitude. Something that for me is key every morning is wake up, and the first thing is express gratitude. Express gratitude because you're breathing, you're alive, you have health. There are people today that can be in the hospital. You're here. So this is gratitude, expressing gratitude. I want to talk that I see in that book I talk about this. I see there are three pillars for me that are very important. The first pillar is having purpose under the pressure. The purpose. Let me tell you how I discovered the purpose when I was there. We were like in our third year. By that time, already we were having food. We were reading books. I was smuggling nervous. And we were with these meetings. Amazing. And I got the book, and when I saw it, Man in the Search of a Meaning of Viktor Frankl. I don't know if you have read that book. Viktor Frankl is a survivor of Nazi concentration camps. He did a study. He's the father of the logotherapy. And he did a study why the men in the concentration camps survived. And the reason was because the people had a purpose. So when you find a purpose in your life, is when you can transcend. We discovered that our purpose was coming back to them. We needed to come back to them because they were working hard to bring us back. So it would be insane not only coming back, I needed to come back in one piece, not broken. That's why for me, unbreakable is so important. Unbroken. Right? We were working to come back, not broken. So we were working not only to come back, broke, no, in one piece. So when you have that your purpose, no matter the pressure you're going through, no matter, there's nothing that will stop you. You will become unstoppable because that will give you something that is called that determination. The determination that you're determined, no matter what you're going through, believe me, my friend, you will survive. Because we did it. We did it. Today, I when I do coaching or I do speaking or I interview, whatever, I always say, you can think that you're going to a bad situation. Believe me, always can be worse to other people. You think that it's bad. There are people going to more bad things than you. But the thing is that you need to believe that you are going to succeed. So you have to be determined. It's so important. You have to define your why. Why I'm here? Why this is happening to me? And for me, that was a real turning point. Today, when I came back like coming like in a time machine. I didn't know why I was going through this. I didn't know what was going to happen to my life. So I was telling her, I don't know what I'm going to do now. I didn't know. And I began to get connected to my church and talking to my pastor and pray and all this stuff. I begin to see, okay, God, you want me to begin to talk about this and try to put my testimony as a way to help others. And that's what I'm doing today. So I discovered that that was my why. What I did in my past career, I did clear your why. you will know that whatever you're going through is not, because when you have faith, you will see not where you are today, you will see where you want to be. And this is something that for me, I don't know if you have opportunity to hear Joe Dispenza, and he talks about science and quantum physics and this stuff. But today that science has confirmed what the Bible said 2,000 years ago. When there are studies that have confirmed that the observer can change what is observed. It's scientific studies. You can change your reality, but it's in you. And that is what is the faith. That is what is the faith. When you have faith in whatever you believe that is God will, you will change your reality. You will not see you where you are today. You will see you where you want to be. And it's because you discover you. Why? Because that will give you the morale, will give you direction, and will help you with your decisions. So you will take decisions more wisely, because not only it will give you wisdom, it will give you discernment. You will know where you have to go, because now you're navigating, because you're heading the direction of God. The second pillar for me is that emotional resilience. The emotional resilience has to be with emotional intelligence, and emotional intelligence do with self awareness, the communication. But something that for me is more important is the empathy. One of the things that I discovered during my captivity, that we could stay together because all of us were having empathy with the other. We were six guys. The probability to have a lot of argument and discussion was really high. But we were really understanding what was going with the other. If somebody was, for some reason, was down, we came to